Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL Officially Unofficial cast. We are covering round 2 of the LJL. This is Sengoku Gaming versus Detonation FocusMe, with Sengoku Gaming picking up the first win in this series. I am Alex, otherwise known as Lexi. I'm your host. I go by Mars Swan on the internet, and I'm of course joined by the incredible Hapgood brother duo of Initialize and Nightmare. Gentlemen, well, this isn't the 3-0 DFM that I was expecting and Initialize was expecting, is it?
No, so I can be a little bit proud of myself for that, but of course, I mean, I didn't expect it to be that clean, that decisive, and it is Sengoku, the second seed in the regular season, showing that they can punch up in the standings. They have now taken this to, in this split, they are 2-1 over both regular season games in this first game here against DFM, so they actually have the sole winning record over them, however temporary that may be.
Yeah, and I think there's also something too that when Sengoku Gaming got their win over DFM, it was off really good strategy and playing in the early levels that kind of stifled DFM from out of the game. And it happened again in this pit 1 where Steel got shut out at level 1, got 3-buffed by the Jarvan, not necessarily by his own fault, but by the good play of Sengoku Gaming. And from that, they just managed to wrestle control of the river. And as a result, DFM couldn't have any pressure in lanes. Jarvan got to do whatever he liked, picked up loads of early objectives. And when Steel finally did hit a point where he could start impacting lanes, he was a little bit behind already and couldn't really get the kills because there was lots of flashes and exhausts and things available to stop things happening.
Interesting perspectives. Where do we think it was just a pick and ban phase thing for DFM? Was it just a team play thing? Was it just Steel getting behind her, then the whole team just panicked because of that? What was going wrong there, really?
I think we saw the recurring issue of DFM not necessarily having contingency plans for level 1, like Sam was saying. I think that a lot of this is praise for Sengoku rather than being to the detriment of DFM. I think that on the whole, DFM's comp would normally be, if you just cover the other team's side, it would be a good composition. But picking full AD with the FLS really being the only threat versus some backliners, which he really finds it quite hard to get in range of because there's this Renekton and Jarvan in front of him, makes the team fights very hard to play out. And when you're playing around team fights and not winning in the split push because, you know, like Afterman ended up being so tanky, it makes it hard to play the game.
Interesting idea. Who do we think is going to win game 2 off of just the initial impressions? Obviously, you guys can revisit this in after pick and ban phase as well if you'd like.
I don't think Sengoku Gaming are going to get a level 1 like that again, though I said that after week 5 when Sengoku Gaming got that level 1 against Steel there. So we'll see. I think this is one of those things where between games, that's an easy one in some ways to fix out. I think maybe drafting someone who's got a better level 1 to be able to contest a little bit there if someone does come for an invade, or looking for a counter invade might be something the DFM look to do.
I think the Morgana's got to be banned. Morgana also, this also helps
find a counter,
and also Morgana's really good at level 1, right? So that might solve both problems.
Will be interesting. As we are a blast from the past stream, I am gonna count us in so we can get into this game 2 of Sengoku facing off against DFM in 3, 2, 1. Good luck to both these teams.
Once again, thank you, Maswan. It is a pleasure hearing you lead us through some analysis there. And of course, this time around, DFM and Sengoku still on the same sides. DFM over on blue side, Sengoku over on the red.
And there's been no changes in the coaches. We sometimes know that DFM will either have On-Air or Kazu on stage. It is still Kazu there. And these are the same first bans thus far. The LeBlanc and the Senna taken away from DFM. Sengoku once again choosing the red side is worth noting. DFM had side choice for game 1, 3, and 5, if it does go to those. And Sengoku will have it in game 2 and 4, if again it goes to game 4. This is the same draft so far for the first 4 bans. So what this means is normally, just looking a bit in the insight there, that DFM are pretty happy with how last game goes, but then you know, they think they just played it wrong. It wasn't the draft that was a problem.
There's something to that.
Changes up though with the Zoe last ban, name's missing.
Yes, I can see that. It was a good play out of Pyrian. Maybe they're more afraid of his LeBlanc than it was, of his Zoe than his LeBlanc, but that's been banned too. And I can't remember what was the last ban the last time around.
I can't remember.
Heimerdinger with DFM is what we're thinking. Production came in and piped that out as it comes in here as well. We're wondering what DFM's last ban was from the game before. Yeah, well, we've got to
He's
set
on.
production onto it. They'll get back onto it as DFM rapidly lock in that Aphelios again.
Okay, so they're going for the same thing again. It is a very strong AD carry, gives you so many different tools to play with in terms of engage, sustain, laning phase, teamfight presence, all the rest of it really. Aphelios has a weapon combination for it. So Sengoku, what are they going to choose to lock in? Varus worked out for them very well last time. I think that Yutomiyashi, on the whole, had a very good game, landing a lot of key skill shots. I had that one time he was caught out in the mid lane, but even then, his team was ready to recoup that play and take it for a good team fight.
That's for sure. It's some great chains of corruption to his Pyrian. Thinks about going towards a Syndra
I'd agree.
here, which again is
Yep,
another one of
yeah,
those teleport players, and
I
he
really
does
like
play
this.
a decent Syndra too.
I very much like this.
Takeaway from
because
Seros.
Sometimes, well, more than that actually, it is a takeaway from Seros, but often DFM will lock it in the third pick if they're on blue side, allowing them to have the blind pick mid laner going into the second round of bans, which allows to ban out some of the more aggressive matchups, which can sometimes punish a Syndra. DFM thinking about taking away the Renekton themselves, though.
Yes, they are, and there is still one. So we have competition from production.
Olaf.
It wasn't Olaf, which is still on the table. Blank could go towards. He's pretty good on that champion if he was to choose it. But of course, DFM still have their second pick here of the phase 2 of their draft. So what was it? Blue 3, I guess. I'm trying to think of how to phrase that. So you get first pick
Sure.
and then second and third.
Third
Third pick is the Thresh, though.
Okay, right, so that was banned out in the slew of support bans in round 2 in game 1. We saw 4 support bans coming through.
Big time.
2 from either team, and even then we saw some pretty high tier supports making their way through in the Morgana and the Rakan. But the Thresh locked in inside the Aphelios. This is a really scary combo because if the hook lands, then normally Aphelios has some way to follow up with it, either with more CC or just a whole lot of damage.
Also, frankly, the Lantern's a big deal. Because last time, Utapon was struggling to find a place where he could just stay safe from everyone trying to dive on top of him. This way, there's a Lantern out that if he does run the cleanse, he's got another ways out as the Aatrox locked in here, probably for Appaman.
Yep, that's what we assume. I mean, in seasons past, it has been in the jungle, sometimes in mid lane as well, but right now it is solely in the top lane. We're going through into the second round of bans. So we have a mid laner for DFM and a jungle to be picked, and for Sengoku, we're looking at a jungler and a support most likely.
Sejuani off the table.
I like that. That's fine, because Sejuani is really good with the Renekton, able to proc the Permafrost passive for Sejuani very, very quickly with an empowered W.
One might say.
Permanently permafrosted because of the amount of auto attacks coming through on that ability,
You
on
called
the
it.
W.
There it is. Morgana off the table.
I think that's
Tired
pretty
of NT playing with that one, and it is very strong with the Varus. It's just another bit of CC to layer on top of a Chains of Corruption. No more of that.
Varus is really strong with Morgana as well, because the Binding lands, then a Piercing Arrow lands, and it's just too much damage, really. And it's very strong at level 1, amongst other things. NT has also looked his best on that champion. I wonder if DFM will ban away another support if they think that is sufficient, whereas Sengoku is splitting the bans between 2 different roles. They're taking away Azir from Seros, another
Have
control
we seen him play this split?
Not this split.
So it was obviously something they are aware that he might go towards. Think it's potentially not a bad matchup into the Syndra as well, I guess. Blitzcrank.
That's right. Okay. So that's NT has played. Oh no, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of that one time I broke down on cast because it was all of the movement speeds from DFM playing it with the Karma and the Righteous Glory, and just like I could just hear Initial D in the background.
Yeah, that's the one.
Well, Deja Vu, not seeing any Blitzcrank today. We will see the secondary hooking champion, though, which is still available, which is the Nautilus. Maybe 3 seconds left.
Indeed. Likely to be locked in, and it's another bit of seriously hard CC to join in that QE combo from Syndra and the Chains of Corruption from Varus.
Will do. Yeah, so again, it's just more CC available for the side of Sengoku. I like it when LJL teams have ample CC. There are some regions and some teams around the world which can play with a bit of CC deficit and then be able to kind of like still follow up very well on those. LJL does like a couple more abilities to throw out there in case one doesn't land. It allows them to be less committal. Echo, probably for Seros.
And I think they're thinking about the Pantheon as well. This is about as hard dive as it comes if they go for this. Be afraid of both side lanes.
Okay, I like this a lot from DFM if this is going to be the Pantheon locked in instead of in the jungle, because Seros has played Echo in the past. In fact, we saw it in the very last game of the finals, their winning game, their victory lap in the very last finals versus V3 in the last split. Seros are playing that, had a good showing on that champion, then I believe that's the last time we saw it from him. It's now going to be a last pick jungle from Sengoku.
Yep, thinking about Osiris, Blank has looked towards it. They have saved this last pick for him.
think Lee
Did
Sin's a
hover
good
the
pick for them.
Jarvan as well, maybe towards, of course, Blank's Lee Sin. He's gone towards that
Jarvan. Okay,
Jarvan,
right.
which makes some sense to me as well. Hard Engage, Cataclysm, joins in with all the rest of the CC tools that Sengoku Gaming have drafted.
That's fine. I think you don't. Yeah, I think the Jarvan worked out very well in game one. I was wondering where I was going to go with this point. It's like, well, sometimes you don't want to pick like a mono damage mid and jungle because then the 2v2 becomes very hard, particularly against an Echo who does really like to mid lane 2v2 alongside a Pantheon. I think that mid lane is going to be the focus this game, all things said and done.
Yeah, I doubt that's a Renekton jungle, but one can always live in hope. But there we go, switched
Oh,
around.
you would hope for such a thing.
It would be highly entertaining. And there we go, it is locked in as that Echo mid, Renekton top, and the Pantheon once again back into the jungle. Hopefully, for DFM's sake, you've got to hope that it's a better level 1 for Steel.
Yep, because the Pantheon is very strong in the early game. Gets to level 2, level 3, have that shield bash thingy available, and able to
Shield
get that...
vault.
Shield vault. Oh yeah, the pointy stunny thing. That's
The pointy clicky stunny thing. Yes,
that's the technical term.
Yes, it is. But that means we are now into game 2 of round 2's match 1 between DFM and Sengoku, with Sengoku currently in the lead 1-0.
Yeah, it's a bit of a slap in the face, a bit of a sucker punch coming out very strong in game 1. DFM looking to turn that around onto them in game 2, get themselves back onto parity, and then hopefully into a lead in game 3 from the perspective of them and their fans. Let us know who you think is going to win in our Discord, on our Twitter, all the other stuff. We love to hear from you guys, and we'll shout you out if you say something funny. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
Only if it's actually genuinely funny.
Yeah, you got to try.
But actually, none of this weak stuff. It's got to be good. I need quality banter.
Yeah, we have high standards, much like our League of Legends, and that's why we're very pleased with this game today. Game 1 was actually pretty good.
There was some good stuff from Sengoku Gaming, and it wasn't particularly slow either. I worried about their mid to late game being a little bit interminable. Is there maybe a little bit interminable, perhaps a little bit of an oxymoron in phrase there, but of course they cleaned it up pretty well. That game ending in relatively swift order, I would say.
Yeah, and this time it's not going to be Gang walking into a stacked group of Sengoku. They don't have the Morgana this time. They do have the Nautilus, which is another strong level 1 champion, but it's just going to be the 5-man fan from both teams. We see that Blank walked forward, put a ward down, recalled for a sweeper, and is now coming back out onto the map, seeing where he's going to start this game, whereas Pantheon is very much starting on the bottom side of the map with his positioning.
Yeah, and we can sort of see Echo now heading towards that mid lane. Utapon's over the wall. Steel is here, and they know there's a ward. They've tagged it out. Do Sengoku Gaming. Are they going to go for this level 1 engage? I don't think so. They are going to cut it out, but you can see that the observers are keeping an eye on this because it is still a possibility. You never know, because they definitely looked towards it in the first game.
Okay, all right. So now we get to see a bit of a difference between Steel playing with a disrupted level 1 and then Steel being able to play with a little less troubles in the early game.
Yeah, maybe he can get towards the river this time around. Would be kind of a nice touch for him. They ended up going down like 16 CS to 31 or something at one point.
It was pretty huge.
Yeah, and there was just so little he could do at that point. Jarvan had so much control, and those early levels, which Pantheon is so feared for, kind of resulted in nothing, as that's a decent dredge line. And an ignite down already. Cleansed now by Utapon, but that's it. That's an exhaust as well from Yutori Moyoshi. Maybe a little overhyped, but Utapon's health bar does punish.
That was a very valuable cleanse. Cleansing both the ignite and the exhaust there does mean that it's a 2-to-1 summoner trade without actually much being spent in terms of pressure from the side of DFM. Although once again they've managed to find themselves a good positioning on this wave, so they'll hit level 2 first.
And that's a good sign as Utapon tries to get some healing back with the Severum, and does. That's the joy of Utapon there.
Yeah, the Relic Shield also there for the healing.
Yeah, and that's good news for them as Ebby gets good trade onto Apperman. Apperman's potentially in trouble here, actually. Now going to have to watch out for that Conqueror stack. First blood, solo kill to Ebby. The Crocodile on the board as Steel comes through in the mid lane. Pyrion's got cleanse. He's going to have to think about using it because the parallel convergence is here. Flash out from Pyrion as well.
Okay, so advantage going towards the FM, and yeah, the hook just missing there. Flay would have been there to interrupt, actually.
And she turned around the hook because that's no, of course, use of the Aftershock as Ebby once again going in on Apperman.
Yes, and Apperman took a lot of bad Q trades at level 1, walking up to the wave.
Steel's here.
Taking those. Steel just kind of running the length of the map. He's going to find a stun here.
No, he's not, because that was a good pink ward in place, but that timing was a second away from Nightmare, as Echo actually takes a big damage trade from a good stun combo from that Syndra.
So Echo
Blank's
versus
here.
Syndra, yeah, we're going to see a skirmish in this top lane still. He's
Gonna
actually
come
been
in.
seen.
He has been seen. They've still got the Aegis. Is going to use it, but is fine for now. Doesn't take all that much damage. Goes on to Blank, actually. Knows there's no flag and drag it this early in. Flashing for the stun. They're going under tower. Blank's going to die. No, he's still got there. Surviving for now, but that's a massive Comet Sphere that comes through. Ebby trying to heal up as much as he can. Might get traded around on. Steel is here. Has got the 5 stacks. Another massive stun. Apperman's now in trouble. Taking lots of damage. Goes to flash onto him. Gets the kill.
It.
And that's a big turnaround. So it's a 1-for-1 in that top side as the fight in the bot lane continues. Exhaust down on Yutori Miyoshi. Utapon now flashing away. In goes Emmy. He's going to get traded around on though. It's a 1-for-1 in that end one. Utapon goes down as Gang. Yutori Miyoshi flashes for Gang now having to flash out. That play was just a touch late and that bot lane fight was inches away from disaster for both teams. But Yutori Miyoshi comes out on top. It is 3-3 in the kill score.
And what happened to our cerebral slow-placed teams? We've got 6 kills in 4 minutes! This is huge early game plays coming out from both sides. We see the power which Renekton and Pantheon has at these early levels with the point-and-click CC, with Double Conqueror being run as well. But it's Double Conqueror on the other side from Sengoku. Blank coming in to at least try and even up the scales. And double buffs were very importantly removed from the Aatrox there at the end of that. We're going to see the entirety of this bot lane
flash.
play, though. It was. So we don't see any of the combat summoners available towards NC.
When he gets
here.
so close to going down.
Yeah, W Shield comes back up and he flashes over the Flay, very key, importantly there. And then Gang left with no mana, doesn't have anything left to really bring to that fight, flashes away himself. So a kill going up towards Yutori Miyoshi. Had a very good game last time on the Varus. We'll have another.
Exhaust again.
It has the exhaust up again as well. And yeah, the exhaust has been taken more commonly.
Oh, Apperman. I think he might be in trouble. There's the stun. There's the second one. The layering is here. Ebby's beyond. Apperman put in the dumpster. This is a direst treatment right now.
Yeah, so now Apperman is, that's the VIP treatment right there. He's, fighting a little bit hard. He burned his teleport on the very first solo kill, and then the 2v2 ended up getting him killed again. He's 20 CS down. That's an Executioner's Calling already built up by the Renekton.
Yeah, and we're looking at Blank picking up an early Ocean Drake, and that's the punishment. There is an assist me ping in that bot lane from the side of Sengoku Gaming.
Steel's actually looking towards top lane again.
He is. I don't necessarily blame him because this Aatrox is completely useless right now. Has got a long sword and cloth armor to his name, and that's it.
Oh, no, not again, Steel.
Oh, and Seros has got level 6 and teleport. They're thinking about it. Apperman's in the bush. He's like, can I do anything? He's stuck in here. They've got a sweeper. There he is. And Apperman's like, no, not again. And has to try and find his way out. And this is some top lane discussing 2-level lead. Saros tried to go in there for the parallel convergence, but Scatter of the Week was around as Gang and Utapon actually roam up.
I have to say, I really appreciate the way that Pyrion's playing this laning phase, playing against a Pantheon and also the Echo, just being able to CC you so far down there, only blowing the flash in this early game while retaining a 10 CS advantage, while Steel's been winning the top side of the map so hard for his team alongside Ebby. I've been impressed with the Syndra play so far.
Yeah, that's some pretty good stuff right now. And of course, you do have the range advantage earlier on. And Saros did hit the level 6 first, which was a bit risky.
Yeah, he's been using the Scatter of the Week to push the Echo out the Suns multiple times.
Apperman, this
3 levels down!
And this is what we say when we talk about Ebby and Steel at their finest. This is what you want to see from a Pantheon 1-1 and 2 looking really good. We're looking at a Renekton at 3-1 and 1 who is currently proxy farming 3 levels up on Apperman, who's at 13 CS.
13 CS, 7 minutes. This is going to absolutely screw over his CS per minute game. But the stats, by the way.
Oh, it's horrific.
You're gonna look at this series CS per minute. It's like, Apperman is really bad at hitting CS. Yeah, well, he would be able to hit CS if he was in range of them. Unfortunately, he's like a full. He's a full screen away. Oh my god,
he's between tier 2 and tier 3.
You know what? I haven't seen this level of proxy farming since like probably like Darien on Mask of. Oh,
he's got no flash. There's a Dominus here. All right, here we go. Apperman's in trouble. He's gonna go through Ebby. He's got Conqueror for healing, but he might be actually gonna die now. He's gonna die! Apperman! How does he get that outplay? Oh, they got too cocky. There was no wave.
There was no wave, no Pantheon at all, and the damage just didn't register in time. Apperman got his Deathbringer stand sort of off for a bit of that healing, then gets a lot of his Qs down as well, and Evie just kind of takes up one too many turret shots. No flashes available to get in or out of range of the turret, and yeah, Apperman given a lifeline.
Yeah, it was looking like he was in dire straits, and he really, really was. He's not in a fantastic place, still. He's still down 40 CS and a Phage with a Ninja Tabi, but that was a little bit too far from DFM.
But that was a shutdown there. That was a good shutdown, and we'll be able to deny some CS this time away from Ebby. He's going to lose about probably about halfway by the time he gets back to lane there, although this is still a huge advantage, as you were saying.
Yeah, there is good CS leads in the bot and mid lane, though. Of course, Varus managed to shove in that wave after the kill in the bot side, so that's a big CS lead for him, and it's about 10
CS.
towards the Syndra as well, who had that early range advantage and used it pretty well as Blank and NT go for a bit of a warding mission into this blue side.
And we once again see that Sengoku do the early rotation around 8 to 9 minutes to try and get this early Herald, whereas DFM are happy to keep their Aphelios on the bot side. That's an ult traded.
There's the slice, though, and he's going to be out. Actually, as Blank's looking to try and find his way in behind, but it's just forcing him back to the tower, so he can't contest as easily. But Ebby has teleport, has got himself a decent amount of healing. Think about it, Appleman's here. Has got the World Ender, may well need to use it though. They're looking to put this Aatrox in the dirt with double Ruby Crystal. I don't know if he's got enough HP. The World Ender's there.
They can just wait this out now,
They're going to think the wait it out. Appleman's going to try and get onto this. Chakrams and Severum is a lot of damage and healing. He's going in onto Utapon, taking a lot of damage, but that's a massive amount of return fire. And Appleman now going to try and find his way out. Here's the shield. Steel's going to try and find his way around. Grand Starfall comes through as Ebby goes onto Yutori Miyashi. Exhaust has to be burned. And that's going to be pretty scary. Flash forward onto Appleman. Good hook as well. I don't think he's got a way out. No, he doesn't. Seros is gifted that kill.
Doesn't manage to repeat the game one shenanigans of being able to survive the dive and delay the tower take. They will. So Sengoku will still have the Herald available to them, and they probably will still get first turret. They are sharing the plate gold onto their AD carry this time. Ebby has dominance. He's just going to go away.
He's going to get in as the Q. He's taking a massive amount of damage. Does survive that, but the ignite now popped. Forced them away from the tower. As there's a teleport in behind from Seros. He's going really deep. He's going to get Enti, you think. Flashes forward. Has still got his ultimate. Flashes back. He's going back actually with that Chrono Break. I'm not sure that was worth doing. There isn't all that much
Maybe
CC
it
to get
was
onto him. As there's another teleport coming in behind. Pyrion's here as well, but it's a 1v4 as this teleport is going to come through. Ebby slices away. Doesn't have the dice, but it does force that teleport in response. The Scan of the Week misses, and they can't get any more can Sengoku Gaming. And the first tower will also go to DFM. They do summon a Rift Herald, though, to Sengoku Gaming, and this game just doesn't stop.
Game doesn't stop. It's now 6 kills to 4. We got a kill a minute here. This is very unlike our LJL, but I'm loving it all the same. It will be the tower going down in the top lane anyway, but as you were saying, it is the first tower bonus, this time going the way of DFM. All of these small advantages which were going the way of Sengoku, and now this game going the way of DFM, and they find themselves up 3,000 gold at this point in the game, where Sengoku would have found that themselves in the last game.
And lucky DFM, those kills are onto an Echo who picked up 2 in the matter of minutes, and of course that Renekton who is at a fairly filthy level of dominance right now.
Of course, we do see that Yusuke Miyashi does have a lead over Aphelios at this point in the game as well. I think that he's had a fantastic split.
He really has.
Talking about him. These are the 2 AD carries we have talked about, saying these are our all-pro, these are our MVPs of the role for this split. There was some argument whether Utapon should have made it up to the top there, but Yusuke Miyashi having a very strong showing in these first 2 games.
Yeah, actually though, Utapon has still got the gold lead because much like last game for Yusuke Miyashi, despite that the CS lead is translated against him by fact there is still turret plates and turrets in general that have gone down for DFM. That's a decent Graviton ult that's going to come through. Period takes a lot of damage. Utapon's just stepping forward and does about half the HP bar despite being 2 levels down on that champion.
Yeah, just misjudged the ranges a bit there. Maybe you thought that Gang could follow up with a flash hook or something like that. Maybe trying to force out the cleanse as well, but Perion holds his nerve, gets away without using a summoner spell, and it is just the ultimate away from Utapon.
Yeah, it does, however, mean that he gets control over this wave, and he's here alone, actually, as Gang is up the top, and Appleman is just forced off again, as you said.
He's 55, he's 60 CS down!
This is what you call domination. Ebby has been playing this game pretty well. There was the one dumb tower dive, but even then that nearly worked out.
Very nearly did, but we don't talk about nearlies when it comes to the winning of a game.
We're going to try and dive Seros, maybe. Everyone's around on the bot side.
He has his ultimate. He doesn't have flash, but he's there is a chance that works out, but it's always a little bit dangerous with these resets.
Steel's here as well, but everyone's in this red side, and Steel knows that something's going on. blanks here as well. They're going to try and maybe get onto this Pantheon with no
he's
flash.
sniffed it
He's
out.
got the Aegis. I think he's going to need to use it. It's there, but I don't think he's going to survive all the same. Yeah, he's just going to go down. That was well played by Sengoku Gaming.
It was, and Blank this time not finding the impact in the early game, which he did last game, but he does manage to pick up that kill onto Steel. There's no dragon to take this time. The first dragon went to the way of DFM. It was an Infernal Dragon. We don't know which one it is spawning next. I didn't end up catching that one there on if it did show up on screen. So, once again, we kind of find ourselves a little bit more of a quiet state in the game, unless Ebby has something to say about it.
He's on
He
a
does
wall,
have a lot of
Apperman.
items there, comparative.
2 levels and there's no tower. Apperman needs to be really, really scared. He's going to try and find his way out. That's an Infernal Chain. Sliced away from, does get out of that, but Apperman gets caught by a hook over the wall. Gang is here, the box is down. Apperman getting flayed back, and there's the dominance and the stun. Ebby's on the right side, exhaust down as well. That's going to be another death onto this Aatrox.
911. What's your emergency? I'd like to report a murder.
Yeah.
Apperman goes down for his 5th death of the game.
Seros could be in trouble, but
Steel's
Steel's
here.
here. He's got the parallel conversion. I think he's going to need he's just dead. But that's a massive stun on the tower, and Blank is taking massive damage. Goes down to Steel. If there's an exhaust down, it's not enough. Traded straight back.
Okay, alright, so 1-for-1 on the bot side. Ebby's still free to push up in the top side. At least the kill once again goes the way of Yutori Miyashi has the playmaking ADC. If anyone's going to carry this game, it's probably going to end up being him. But of course, Pyrion has 1 kill to his name as well.
Pyrion's got to be careful, because Ebby was round the back, and that wave had stayed.
I don't know, man. When you got Cleanse and Flash on the Syndra with
And
so much
Phase
burst
Rush.
damage and Phase Rush,
No
there's
ultimate
a
there.
lot of ways to try and outplay that situation, and Ebby has already failed 1 dive this game.
He's at 4-2-2 this time with actual items, rather. Now he's actually, backed like a normal human being.
And the thing is, though, like, while we have seen Ebby once or twice recruit these huge leads against his lane opponent, there was that one game where I think he kept, trying to remember who the top laner was, which team it was, kept them like 3 levels down, 60 CS to none, as the set versus
I think it
on
might
matchup.
have been Dasher, was it? Because Tussle had to come
might
up
have been that.
or was it
Yeah.
Hachimecha? I forget. Maybe.
I can't remember which game it was, but there's something like that. But again, he did end up dying in that game as well, even with that huge early game advantage, and kind of letting the other top laner slowly make his way back into the game. It did translate that game into a win as well, but it wasn't as easy as you would have thought with that kind of lead.
Yeah, but that's kind of what Ebby does, though, is he forces really hard reactions out of the opposing team when he gets those leads, and it does warp the map, and it has done, because Ebby spent more time in the opposing red side jungle than he has actually in his own damn lane.
There's something to be said about that, and Steel has been the beneficiary of that in large as well. There's some skill shots being thrown out.
You're going to get that change of corruption, but the Aegis is there to keep people alive. As Seros goes in, has got the parallel conversion, has to use that chrono break, but gets out. NT now has to burn the stopwatch. He's on the box, takes big amount of damage as the Sentinel turret goes down. NT gets flash blade, but it is just about buffered out of by that dredge line. If that had gone the other way around and the dredge line had been cancelled, I would call Gang a god, and he was nearly on it there.
Yeah, so much like with Camille, it's Nautilus. You have to wait for the particle to connect with the wall before trying to cancel it. Ends up being the slimmest of timings, but with the chunks and all of the tools available, all the tools being used by Sengoku in that fight, it will buy DFM their 2nd dragon of the game. It was a Mountain Drake. We will see which we saw that the Ocean Drake went down to Sengoku previously in this game, and that means that it will be an Mountain Drake, Mountain Rift, sorry, I'm fumbling so many words right now.
That's fine, because Ebby's here, and he's looking to make Sengoku Gaming
Grand
fumble.
Starfall.
Here comes the Grand Starfall. Blank's in a lot of trouble, takes huge amount of damage, is down to half HP. Pyrion now caught in the back of this pit, may well have to use Flash, has not got the unleashed power, is taking huge amounts of damage, is at half HP, does have a cleanse, does have a Flash, that's a hook onto NT, no stopwatch this time. Dominance pop by Ebby, Flash in from Steel, the forces to flash out of Pyrion alongside the cleanse, and DFM say no Rift Heralds for you today.
Okay, right, so Pyrion tried to play the long game there, see if he can get out without using his summers, ends up buying a teleport from Seros there and liberal usage, not liberal, very tight, keeping a tight, I didn't use his summoners quickly.
There we go, well
That
done.
one.
Yeah. Playing on the edge of his seat for sure. kept his nerve. I was going to go in, but actually Blank could be in trouble here. Does not get stunned. Oh, does get stopped and stunned. Cancels out his flag and drag. Ebby's got flash. Is he going to go for it? He is definitely thinking about it, but Superion's here. Going to get stunned out, and there is that stopwatch out of Blank as well, but it was a rapid flash from Ebby to avoid being stunned under tower.
Timely arrival from Pyrion saves the life of his jungler. Blank not going to die just yet, but has to blow his ultimate and his crucial stopwatch as
And the
well.
flash as well.
And the flash, he did flash over that wall, but Ebby had to flash out of turret or be stuck in under tower in the Cataclysm. So, taking the tool away from Ebby, probably not the worst thing ever, but then this
Three tools out of Jarvan.
There's a lot of things taken away from Jarvan there. So one thing about the empowered Renekton W is that it does actually stop dashes. It's one of the reasons why I mentioned Camille wants this game already, even though she's not in it. But that's one of the reasons why Camille Renekton is so good into that champion. It also works on the flag and drag after the movement has been started as well.
And Ebby continuing to be a massive win condition here for DFM, has found so much pressure in the side lanes, and Sengoku Gaming are scrambling to respond, but the Rift Herald now summoned in the mid lane, and they're going to try and get this mid tower down, and it's probably going to get it. There's no way that stopped the true damage more than enough to claim that tower's life.
Okay, so we have win condition in the side of 2 dragons on DFM, and also the massive amount of pressure that they have. Steel with a good 2-level advantage over his jungle opponent as well, meaning that DFM have many more tools and a larger margin for error this game than they did in the last.
Yeah, and I've got to actually question where Sengoku Gaming's wards are. They're super deep, and I just don't know if they're actually all that useful where they are.
Well, the problem was DFM just swept through the bottom side of the map and dropped 6 wards, and then also a Rift Scuttle as well. So while we saw there were 4 sweepers out to the side of Sengoku in the first game, there is only the 3 this time, none on the mid laner. But they just haven't been able to make the vision stick. It's been cleared out. They haven't been able to defend it. And NT, has he been seen that? Okay, all right.
Yeah, he was just hanging around in that wolf pit. Just chilling, but he's on a ward. An unusual placement for the ward, but it actually turned out to be useful, making me eat my words a little bit there,
I think they're trying to shield Yutorimashi, who is 2-0 on this Varus, will be in a position to carry this game once he gets the Rage Blade, really. If he ends up being able to kite away from the initial kind of engage, doesn't get Renekton flash stunned or something like that, and he gets to turn around and open fire with the Rage Blade and Blade, he does do a lot of damage to this front line.
I think it's potentially quite telling looking over at Apperman's vision score over only at 8 because he's just not be able to place his wards in any particular. He can't put them anywhere useful. Yeah, and that kind of is so telling about the state that he's in. Yeah, the fact he has got 3 kills is credit to some decent outplays from him, and he has at least got a Black Cleaver and some Ninja Tabi for some baseline utility. But he is a long way behind, no mistake, because that's a Sterex and an Executioner's calling that's ahead by Ebby right now.
And the thing about Aatrox is that he heals more the more damage he's doing, and no items means that he doesn't have any HP, he doesn't have any damage. It's going to be really hard for him to start trying to dive a backline here. He's going to have to find smaller ways to get back into the game until the point where he is happy to try.
This is you can't even have Gromp. Did you see that little ping? Came out when you don't get that. That's mine.
And that's it's gold being taken away from Apple. Gold being put over towards Ebby. He's been asserting his dominance this game.
Yeah, he has. And
some might say asserting his dominus.
Dominus, indeed. Some may say that, but we won't because we're cultured people who don't rely on puns. But I say that in a very ironic and hypocritical fashion. I'm going to move away from it.
I missed the memo. Wow.
As a Mountain Drake will be spawning in 30 seconds as I throw probably unnecessary shade at my color caster. Okay, Mountain Drake spawning. I don't think Apperman and the rest of Sengoku Gaming are going to want to contest. What does Sengoku Gaming do to staunch the bleeding? Because make no mistake, they're in a very difficult position right now.
I think you wait for the next item onto Syndra, see if you can blow up the Aphelios in a team fight or the Echo before his stun comes through, and then just see if you can win an uneven numbers fight, because you're not going to win with the Renekton versus Aatrox in any of the side lanes. You're waiting for Pyrion and Yutorimayashi to really make the big plays here.
And there is, speaking of Yutorimayashi, a Rage Blade completed, which gives him some options. He has got damage if he can stay alive. That is a bit of a tall order versus all of the carries on DFM looking very hungrily at that AD carry and a lot of ways to get on top of him. But if he stays alive, there is a world where he gets to put out a fair amount of free damage. Steel's going to pop over the wall. Think about it, but there's a lot of Sengoku Gaming hanging out in that bush. He's going to come take massive damage, but that's a massive Aegis there as well. Gang has to use his stopwatch, but I think he's just dead to rights. Flashes away. Pressed massive flay, but it's not enough, and that's well played by Sengoku Gaming as the teleport comes in from behind. Ebby is here, and he is huge. Got a lot of rage stacked up, but Sengoku Gaming turn around. force that Crocodile to think twice about engaging 4v5.
Okay, right, so Sengoku find themselves a pick. This might end up allowing them to buy back some vision. We see that a lot of the walls that were placed by DFM on the bot side of the map have now timed out. Sengoku find a lot of vision around the mid lane, going into the enemy's blue side jungle, which might set themselves up for a couple of Baron baits if they are brave enough to go for that, or at least track if DFM go towards that objective themselves.
Yeah, but you have to say that is kind of only a feel-good moment. There's no objectives that Sengoku Gaming can get off that, but that's pressure, right? And it is at least a bit of a confidence booster saying, yes, we can find ways to get onto people. Yeah, we have to be tricky about it, but there are options to blow people up.
It was, and also it's another kill participation over towards Pyrian there and towards Yutori Miyashi. It's just extra little bits of gold, and it means that you can't be as quite as aggressive with your positioning if you're DFM, if you're trying to position on a wave, push up and go up into the enemy jungle. If that play hadn't worked out, Sengoku might have lost a lot of their vision, which they had worked quite hard in the last minute or two to try and get. It also means that they get a free reset. There's a lot of smaller things you get from that kind of play, particularly when you're already behind in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all true. And you saw DFM saying, we know the rewards here, we need to walk up as 3 to try and clear them. Are we safe? And you saw them hesitating, and it turns out they really weren't. They were ready for it, but Sengoku did have to burn a lot of summoners to get on them, but they pulled it off.
He did. So
actually, I say that no, they didn't, because NT just pulled that Dreadsign from around the corner. So I think
it was
he was just
I
fine.
mean, he had to flash over the wall. So it was both summoners away from NT at the trade of both summoners to Gang as well, who also used his stopwatch. But that was just such a gnarly hitbox. That was curving the bullet.
Yeah, and you saw the flay out of Gang. It was nice mechanics from him, but it's still not enough to save his life. And NT actually has been playing a pretty clean Nautilus this game.
He has, yeah, no, big props to NT. Had a very good game 1 on the Morgana, continuing to impress here in game 2. We see that Pyrian, he also had a very good game in game 1, has picked up 2 needlessly large rods and also a blasting one as well. A lot of raw AP. If he completes that death cap and ends up landing a combo onto Utapon, he dead.
Yeah.
He dead.
Yes. But speaking of Utapon, that is, of course, the Runan's Hurricane in, as well as Seros gets this tier 2 in the bot lane, is continuing to shove. Because all the while that Sengoku Gaming is stacking as 5, DFM are finding 3 lanes to play in, and that's the big deal for them right now. They're just getting more resources across the map.
They are, and it's at the cost of Apperman, who isn't really finding much farm, or is at least kind of being the person to answer a lot of these plays.
Nearly 100 CS behind. There is a Flame Horizon on the proverbial horizon.
But then there's also a 50 CS lead for Pyrian here in the mid lane, finding himself at a massive advantage on this Syndra, and at least the AD carries are even. There's no real leads we've thought of there. And then, of course, the other thing is that because of all the jungle incursions that DFM have had, Blank is not going to be nearly as tanky as he was last game, gone towards the stone plate as opposed to the Randuins having to go towards a bit more of the shared resist, the mixed resist, rather than going for the one resist item.
Yeah. But for all we're saying that Echo is behind, he's got his 2 core items massively complete between the Protobelt and the Lichbane. So at this point, he's pretty happy to be fighting.
Yep.
Syndra is inches away from a death cap too, though, and that could be
I think he's recalling
pretty
now
big shift. Actually, we'll check out if that's what he's gone back for. It would come up as a fairly important point because the Mountain Drake will be spawning very shortly. He doesn't get it.
Okay, that's pretty important.
He's gone towards the blasting one as well. He's thinking he needs a
he already had the blasting one.
Okay,
yeah, he's had that for the last couple of minutes. He's had all 3 of these for a while. But it's a 1,100 gold to complete the recipe there. It would have been nice for him to get that item, but you don't really get a choice at this point in the game because you do have to fight. There's no point in not attending because it will be a Mountain Soul going to DFM if they were to pick up this dragon.
Assist me pings come down on the mid lane as Sengoku Gaming shove up, but get hooked does Blank. He's taking massive amounts of damage. Look at Seros going into the back, and then to that massive parallel convergence. He's going to need to get out with the chrono. And that is a massive Infernum. And Utapon goes, yeah, Yutori Miyashi, you aren't first team when I'm in here. It's a flash forward from Ebi on top of Yutori Miyashi. He's got no way, no hope to survive. He's got a stopwatch though and makes me eat my words, but it's only for a second as a Grand Starfall comes in from Steel as he's trying to chase onto Pyrian, who has to run away as the sole surviving member as NT does survive, and I forced to eat my words twice because actually it's only 3 people who died.
Well, at least you're getting a good meal today. You're not quite as fed as the team of DFM after that fight. They eat up the members of Sengoku, and they're going to take themselves a Baron and take the Mountain Soul as well. Huge turnaround for DFM.
Yeah, and they're good thinking about trying to turn it around, but I think Saros will be quick enough to pick it up with his items. We'll find out. Syndra's not roaming straight down there, so I think Saros will get it. He's pulling actually out of the way, though. They don't think they can get there in time, and that means that the dragon will be on the table for Sengoku Gaming, at least as something. But 5-man Baron and 3 kills, DFM in a commanding position right now.
It's like
they're teleporting in.
It's a 7k gold lead. Yeah, so Echo's going to teleport in, has himself a stopwatch for this fight as well. The only survivor of the last fight was Pyrion, and Yusonomi actually goes down for his first death as well.
Started it.
They haven't started it, and Seros will be seen here.
Yeah, he is, but it's kind of keeping Apperman away. They don't know where the rest of DFM are, and that's a terrifying thought. Because Ebby is level 16, by the by, and that means level 3 Dominus. He's going to be doing a lot of work, is on a ward.
2 level smite disadvantage. It's going to be very hard for Blank.
They miss out the dredge line as well. Yutori actually has got himself the Chains of Corruption. They're thinking about just turning them around onto Ebby.
Oh,
misses it. He's been so good, but that one was just not. Parallel convergence over the wall. Saros goes forward, gets onto Blank, taking a lot of damage now. Is that jungler as Ebby has forced a dominance and slides away. That's a chrono break onto Saros, who takes a bit of damage. But this Mountain Drake now is going to be DFM's because Blank has got to try and find his way over the wall. Is resetting, but they're going to pull it away. Blank is thinking about going over. He's got the flag over the wall. There is no blast plant though, and Saros is in behind to try and force people away, uses that parallel convergence. A Mountain Soul now for the side of DFM. As Saros and Ebby continue to hunt down the rest of Sengoku Gaming. There is that Pantheon ult, and Pyrion is in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And that place is looking more and more like a trip to the death chamber. It's a good scout of the week, but I don't think it's going to be enough as he's stunned under tower, and Steel picks that one up.
So, Mount Sol, Baron to the side of DFM. I think at this point, with a 10k gold lead, this might end up being the straw which broke the very veritable camel's back, in this case, Sengoku, with a good mid-game almost comeback. They had a couple of glimpses of glory, but nothing really more than that. There was one glimpse, and then the window was shut on them.
Yeah. And Ebby now with a Spectre's Cowl as well is significantly harder for even a Death Cap Syndra to chunk through. As DFM continue to show them, they haven't got all that much time left on the Baron buff. They did spend a little while fighting around that dragon. But I think they'll still get a fair amount out of it. They're going to continue shoving in. Ebby already onto this wave. Gang's here. So is Utapon. And they're thinking about trying to maybe get onto this.
Wait, Utapon is 2 levels up on the top laner.
He is. So they try to get it and miss the flash. But the Cataclysm's here. But Blank is taking all the damage in the world. Goes down. And that means that the depth charge is there. They're getting onto Utapon. But uses the cleanse. Uses the stopwatch. I think he still dies. But it might be a 1-for-1. It's a 2-for-1. Because Utapon's doing all the work. And nearly gains off Yotori Miyashi. As Steel is here as well. And Enti now is going to go down. They tried to turn it around, but it's only a shutdown over because the rest of DFM outplay. And Ebby is here going, guys, base.
Base die. And Ebby is just there. Pyrion does have the death cap now, but he's 2 levels down, as you were saying, onto this magic resist, stacking Ebby at this point with the Spectre's Cowl. That was a huge play by Utapon. I appreciate the ability to try, and the presence of mind to try and make a play as they were losing the game, but loses the game they will. It's going to be DFM evening up the series.
They are indeed, and it's in pretty emphatic fashion. Ebby with a fantastic early start, some great fights around some objectives, and DFM come up with a commanding victory in this one.
So, dealt a bit of a dose of their own medicine. Mass Swan, game 2. Any particular thoughts?
Well, that was an unexpected result. I mean, more maybe back to the field of play that everybody else was expecting, to be honest. DFM, obviously in defiance of Sengoku's first game, saying, no, this is our rift, coming onto our territory. Think about getting some respect, kid. And I mean, they deserve the respect again. That was a very strong showing by all members of DFM.
It was, and there was a night and day performance really in the junglers. I think that Blank this game found it very hard to really impact the game that he did in the game before, where Steel just ran over top lane, took out some summoners elsewhere. I still think that Yutsuro Miyashi and Pyrion had very strong games, arguably even outperforming their opponents when given the state of play of the rest of the game as well.
True.
So maybe we'll see the game go back and forth a little bit more, even with that very strong slap back from DFM.
Yeah, and I think Apperman's going to be wincing at that one. We saw
he was pretty
7 minutes in,
pretty awkward.
13 CS. It was just that moment where you're thinking this is just miserable. And DFM have always got that win condition. And even then, like, the bot lane fight was inches low. We know Yutori Miyashi is supposed to be the best AD carry in the league, and he played very well. But even then, he was not given an easy task of it. We saw that fight where Enti was an auto-attack from dying. And the great flash over the Flay kept Yutori Miyashi in a space where he was at least relevant for a while, but he could never step forwards. That was the problem. He was stepping forwards into parallel convergences and Renekton's with Dominus, and Steel, who was just waiting for a shield vault to hit on top of that Varus, and it meant it was quite difficult for him, really.
Yeah, it does make things a lot more difficult. This series is definitely proving to be an exciting one for sure, though we would have expected nothing different coming from Sengoku and DFM. With that all said, we're going to go on a very quick break and we'll be back with the next game of this incredible series. Thank you so much for joining us.